Yo guys, just did a 4-mile run and I did not meet all my goals. I started off too quick. I ran sub 8 minutes for the first mile. This one was close to 9 minutes, third 9.5. Then fourth was close to 10. So I started off too fast. And I also didn't, I put my playlist on shuffle today because I am traveling. So I wasn't quite as prepped to know how long the songs were going to be in advance. I also wore my racing shorts, so I think they kind of made me feel fast, and I was surprised how fast I started, but I have to start slower. So I have been learning to trust the process and to know what I can't know, and to learn a little bit of what I don't know by observing my body, observing myself. And hanging out with my family, I've noticed that sometimes the next best thing to observing yourself is observing your family, observing someone who is like you. And the etymology of I like you is I am like you. We have a tendency to like people who are similar to us. And you can also say that when we think something is good, we try to do it. So that's why, like, for example, I'm a techno DJ. Other people who are techno DJs, the reason that I am similar to them is because of what I believe is a good thing to do. But where does that leave us when we are in a diverse scenario? It's more difficult to get it right, to see how that diversity is a strength. I was thinking about how complimenting somebody kind of pulls them in a direction of your choosing. Like today, when I wrote about my friend on Facebook, most of my compliments to her were oriented around the way she does her job, which is as a barista and bar manager. So I wasn't sure how everyone would feel about that. I think I pulled it off with dignity, and I hope that in the long run, the effort will help her, accumulate more regular customers, more income, and more ability to pursue her goals. But I forgot to mention that she's in a band, which was kind of my intention. It's not something that I knew about her, but then again, the pieces that I'm writing are focused on somebody's Facebook feed as the subject matter. So I should have probably fit that in there because it is something that she posts about publicly. So emotionally, it's like, did I do something that she'll be proud of, or will it make her feel a weird type of pressure to play a role that is useful to me? And this is always an issue that we face when you want to compliment somebody. That's kind of related to the reason why I usually don't compliment people's appearance, but that's not really a good compromise either. So it's an interesting dilemma, and at the same time, you can compliment somebody by saying like, "Wow, I admire how you always play street hockey. Like, I could never do that, but I think it's cool that you do." That seems like a nice way to encourage somebody too, but it also kind of makes it crystal clear that you are not choosing to value that culture. So it could kind of draw it into question. And it's okay to help people question their decisions. People do sometimes need to revisit their decisions. What's the periodicity? By the way, I noticed that I wasn't quite using that word correctly. So we can dig into that when it comes back up. So I was chatting with my uncle about a hedge fund that my cousin works for. And he wasn't too sold on the idea of rich people helping other rich people get richer. I was able to see a lot of benefits to the business model, but I think that's because I forgot that they I don't know anything about this particular group of business people, but they're very often good at getting politicians to scratch their back, as it were. And I'm open to that. I know it's not always bad. It's not always good, though. And it is kind of structurally flawed. I do believe that. So my uncle is here in Massachusetts. I think of him kind of like a freedom fighter. He's liberal, but he likes freedom so much that sometimes he kind of seems a little bit libertarian. But at the same time, he lives, you know, in a suburb next to a golf course. I spent 10 years in Brooklyn, and I'm so cosmopolitan that I know. So like the metaphor I was thinking for him is like the Minutemen. Dear King George, we love Boston, we love Massachusetts, but we're not quite free enough. So screw you, we're going to war. Whereas I'm in Brooklyn. We love sticking up for our culture, but we know better than to actually fight people. And then my cousin, he's over there in Connecticut, right in between. He's looking over here, he's looking over there. But he's not fully believing the hype from either one of us, from either corner. And as long as the hedge funders are expert level calling people out on their bullshit, that's great. You know, listen to the interview recommended by my favorite YouTuber, Carter of Coin Mastery, Tim Ferriss interviewing Roy DeLeo about how they can use their practices to overcome their bullshit, their stories, their opinions. And I believe in the value that provides to society. But so like I was thinking, like if it's a snake eating its own tail, fine, you know, that's evolution. But if it's a snake sucking its own dick, that's an extinction level event. Because he doesn't die. And then everyone else gets to see how it's done. And there's no more little snake.